Preparing for the future starts with a choice. Choose growth with My Choice Investment. Discover investments suited for your aspirations. Invest within your budget and get started easily for as low as 1,000 pesos. Enjoy convenience with professional fund managers and an auto-invest feature. Access investments anytime, anywhere with Metrobank Online. With diversified products that suit your risk profile and investment horizon. Tap into local and global markets using Philippine peso and US dollar funds. Invest today, be empowered tomorrow with My Choice Investment. Visit your Metrobank branch now or add to your portfolio via Metrobank Online.
Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of TaraInvest Webinar Series, How to Start Saving Money and Investing. I am Eldon, and I will be your host for this afternoon. In this series, we aim to walk you through various financial concepts related to investments. And for this particular episode, let's go back to the basics and learn the difference between saving and investing. You will also hear some practical tips from our speaker on how you can understand your finances better and get started your financial journey with My Choice Investment. But before we begin the program, let me remind you to put your questions in the question and answer box that you can see at the bottom part of your screen so that we will be able to answer them later on at the question and answer portion of the program. So, without further ado, allow me to introduce to you our speaker for this afternoon. He is a Trust Sales Officer of Metrobank's Trust Banking Group. His team specializes in maintaining and developing client and branch business relationships. He is also responsible for training and development and sales support of assigned branch distribution channel to enable them to understand the concept of Unit Investment Trust Fund, or also known as the UITFs. Our speaker has over 10 years of experience in investments, insurance, and asset management. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lawrence Domingo.
Hi, Eldon. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I want to thank everyone for attending this webinar series and inviting me as your speaker. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead with the presentation for today. All right. So reasons why
Recording in progress.
All right. So next slide, please. So what are the reasons why we invest? We all have these big goals in mind, in heart, and in soul, di ba? We all wanted to start that business. We wanted to have that dream vacation. We wanted to retire comfortably. We wanted to provide good education for our children. No? All of these are big dreams that we want to save up. Di ba? But sometimes at the back of our mind, is saving enough? My answer is yes. With the right mindset, and of course, you need to take the second step. You need to invest what you save. But before we tackle on the proper presentation, let's define first, I think, the most compelling reason why you need to invest. So next slide, please. Let's show them. So what is inflation and how it affects all of us? So inflation in economics is a general increase in the prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. So next animation, please. Let's show. So way back in 2000, in the year 2000, when my parents nag-grocery sila, nakikita ko yung 1,000 nila, ganyan karami talaga yung napupuno nila yung grocery. But moving forward, next animation, 2010, medyo nagde-depreciate na yung value ng 1,000 natin, or nag-i-increase kasi yung prices of commodities. And nung ako na, 2020, next slide, as you can see, minsan nakikita ko, ganito na lang ba talaga yung 1,000 na nabibili ko sa grocery? So, inflation for me is the most compelling reason why you need to invest. No, saving is not enough because saving will just be diminished because of inflation. Okay, inflation in the Philippines is averaging around 4 to 5%. So imagine that every year. The purchasing power of your money diminishes by that much. Okay, so for me, the most compelling reason is for you to invest the money that you are able to save to hedge against inflation. All right. So we all know that we need to save and invest, but what are the reasons why we are not starting to invest? So next slide. So here are some of the reasons that we were able to pinpoint on why we fail to save and invest. So next slide. All right. First reason, lack of know-how. Okay. To be honest, personal finance or financial literacy is not taught in schools, right? And to be sad about it more, usually it's not taught in households. Hindi siya tinuturo sa bahay. And why do you think that 95% of lottery winners end up in a much bigger debt? It is because if you don't know how to handle your finances, winning the lottery is not the answer. Okay? If you don't know how to handle your finances right now, how much more if a huge amount of money will be given to you, ibibigay sa iyo, hindi mo naman alam kung paano mo kinita at paano siya palaguin. Kung ang spending habit mo is much more than your means, na malamang mauubos at mauubos mo yung napanalunan mo sa lottery. That's the reason why. Actually, Will Smith said that money and success don't change people. They merely amplify what is already there. And that's true. So if you don't know how to handle your finances and you think that winning the lottery is the solution, think again. It might cause you more trouble. Okay? So next slide, please. So what do you need to do for you to have a blueprint or for you to have a guide on how you will start your investing career or your investment goals? Start with goal setting and be smart about it. I know that you have heard about this, no? Be smart about your goals. You have to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be attainable, realistic, and time-bound. All of this will serve as a formula or as a guide for you to be able to formulate your goals. Okay? Kasi kung hindi ka magiging specific with your goals, it is just like a wish, just like my next slide. According to Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, it's a French author of The Little Prince. A goal without a plan is just a wish. So kung di mo pagpaplanuhan yan, para ka lang nagwi-wish, di ba? But sisigundaan ko yan by what Greg Reed said. Next slide. That a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. And a plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. So again, plan. Maganda yung may plano ka in your investing journey. Kasi kung wala, it's just like ways na you just open it and not inputting the destination. So it will take you anywhere, right? So next slide, please. Second reason. Yan, ito yung gustong-gusto ko. Bakit wala ba tayong pang-invest? Why do we lack capital all the time? Okay, next slide. Ako, marami magagalit sa akin ito. True or false? Most of our wants have a tendency to seem urgent. Di ba? Yung mga retailers na yan, sometimes they market their products. It is as if it is a one-time deal. Di ba? Don't get me wrong. If shopping makes you happy, then by all means do so. But just make sure that it is within your budget. Okay? It is within your budget. So, my strategy is, para pigilan ko yung sarili ko if I want to buy something or not, I give myself a couple of days. Kung gusto ko talaga siya at iniisip ko pa siya after a couple of days, then it is something that I want talaga. But make sure that it is within the budget. Okay? Kasi usually minsan nagiging impulse buying na lang eh. So let's avoid impulse buying. So before you add to cart, hopefully you also add to your investments. Di ba? So next slide, please. So if something cost you 1,000 and it is on sale for 750, and then you decide to buy it, you did not save 250. You spent 750. That is true. Sabi nga ni Warren Buffett, if you keep on buying or if you buy things that you do not need, soon you will be selling things that you need. All right? It's quite compelling. Kung bumili ka ng mga bagay na hindi mo kailangan ngayon, eventually magbebenta ka ng mga bagay na kailangan mo. So think, okay? Think before you click. Okay? So next slide. Number 3 reason is lack of discipline. And yung mga naririnig na natin, okay, this year mag-gym na ako, magda-diet na ako, I'll eat more healthy foods, magpapa-gym membership na ako, pero 1 or 2 months lang, tapos nun wala na. Nawawala na sa discipline or nawawala na sa goal. Okay? Next slide, please. One good example is this one, true or false. Most people think that borrowing is a solution. Kapag wala ng cash, okay, may credit card naman ako. Gamitin na lang natin yung credit card. Then, nagiging ganun yung habit. At the end of the month, hindi na mamalayan, ilang beses na palang ginamit yung credit card. Pagdating ng sweldo, pambayad na lang ng credit card. Right? Credit cards are not bad. If you have big purchases, magdala ka ng credit card instead of bringing in cash. Mas delikado yung nagdadala ng cash, di ba? If you use your credit card, use it responsibly. Don't abuse it. Okay? It's not something to be abused. Hindi porket nag-increase na yung credit limit mo into 6-digit, tontuwa ka na kasi pwede mo nang gamitin lahat. No. Remember that credit card is money that you don't have. All right? So as much as possible, pay everything in cash. Your debit cards actually functions the same way. Diba? Ang maganda pa sa debit cards, ang credit limit mo is yung laman ng debit card mo. Diba? So use it responsibly. It's not like collect them all na halos lahat ng bangko meron kang credit card, no? So 1 or 2 credit card is good. Some people use it because of the perks. I have a credit card. I use my credit card because pag nagpapagas ako may rebate. I know some na ginagamit siya because of miles. There are some that use them because when they dine out, may cashback na 5%, which is good, diba? Gamitin mo. But then again, what I wanted to point out is that for credit cards, use it responsibly. Okay? Because credit card is probably the most expensive loan that you will ever get. Do you know that if you just pay the minimum of the minimum payment for every bills na dumadating sa iyo, minimum payment every month siguro it will charge you around 3%. So at the end of the year, that's what, 36%. So medyo malaki siya. Right? Next slide, please. Okay, so we all know this solution, income minus expenses, wala na nung natitira sa savings, di ba? So medyo nagiging ganito yung habit natin. Bakit ba wala nang natitira pagdating sa investment or pagdating sa savings? It's because after the income, we always think of how we will spend it, di ba? We're not thinking of how we can make the value of our savings more, di ba? Or mapalago siya. So next slide, please. So this is the right formula. I know marami na nakarinig sa inyo nito. Pay yourself first. Income minus savings equals expenses. That is actually the right formula. Unahin niyo muna yung savings before the expenses. I know it's hard. It's hard for you to get out of your comfort zone or to change the current lifestyle. But if that's what it takes for you to become financially successful or financially free, then do so. Diba? Kasi if you keep on doing the same things over and over again and expect a different result, then parang sa sinabi ni Albert Einstein, that's insanity. Di ba? So if you want to change, if you want some change in your finances, you have to get out of your comfort zone. If you need to simplify your expenses, then do so. If you need to change your lifestyle, then do so. And then doon, pwede kayo mag-expect baka may different result. You're no longer insane. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, so true or false? Everyone wants to save, but unfortunately, there's nothing left to save. With the wrong money management, with poor money management, you will really end up having nothing to save. Okay, so next slide, please. So since we already know some of the factors why we are not able to save, what do we do instead? Yan. Ito na yung parang something different that you can do with your status quo, di ba? With your current financial status. Okay, next slide. Number 1, focus on the essentials. Okay? learn how to budget and learn how to stick to your budget. Kasi usually we also budget, no? We also budget our income, but the next step, hindi na natin nasusunod yung talagang budget, di ba? And for me, usually kapag humiling yung ating mga babies, no, yung mga anak natin, usually hindi na natin matanggihan. And unfortunately for kids and adults like us, sometimes the kids do not know the difference between wants and needs, right? So that the next slide, I'll try to point out. So what are your priorities? You need to identify what are your priorities, what are your needs, what are your lifestyles. No, needs are for your necessary for daily living, necessities, daily necessities, and your wants just support your lifestyle. Segue lang tayo. I'll tell a story about my two friends. I have two friends whose one is a wedding photographer. The other one is working in a multinational company. My friend bought that brand of laptop na photographer because for him it helped him in video editing, yung mga same day editing nila, yung mga splicing ng videos nila. For him kasi he bought that brand of laptop because yung in-app movie maker niya helps him to improve more on his business, which is yung sa wedding photography. Yung other friend ko bought that kind of brand of laptop. It's because loyal ako eh. Sabi niya sa akin, loyal ako. Ito ang brand ko. Alright? So lahat, cellphone niya, tablets niya, relo niya, laptop niya is that brand. Okay? And for me, that's lifestyle. Okay? Yung wedding video photographer na friend ko, bumili siya kahit mahal. It's because it will help him. Need niya yun. Naging need niya kasi it helps him in his business. Yung isa, more of lifestyle na lang. So before you buy something, especially with big ticket purchases, try to think, is it something that you really need? Or is it something that you just want? Okay? So I hope it's clear. Next slide, please. I'll show you the difference between a saver and a spender. And if you're able to save on little things, hindi mo mamamalayan yung little tweaking mo of your finances could go a long way. So let's say for this example, no, if you, let's say, drink a soda can every day in the office, no, every lunch mo, you drink soda that costs you around what, 20 pesos, baka nga mas mahal na ngayon, di ba? That equates to 600 of monthly savings if you just, what, drink water na lang, di ba? If you're diabetic, then nakatulong pa sa'yo. Diba? And if you invest that 600 every month, you invest that in a year, and yearly after that for the next 35 years, and you invest that in an investment vehicle that yields you 12% every year. Okay, again, this is just projection and just for you to appreciate a little tweaking on your finances could go a long way. So that will equate around 3.4. Kung nagkakape ka, yan. Kung nagkakape ka, instead of just buying a 3-in-1 sachet, you'll be able to save around 2,600. So that equates after 35 years around 15M. Diba? If you dine out or nagla-lunch out ka palagi, these are your savings. These are your potential savings. Again, the little tweaking in your finances could go a long way. Minsan minamaliit natin yan na hindi natin namamalayan. We're spending on this much every day. Pero kung sinesave mo pala siya, mas malaki yung potential mo na i-save siya, itago siya, at i-invest siya. Alright? Next slide, please. Okay, step 2. Okay, find more ways to bring in more income or simplify your expenses. Okay, so for this one, finding more income for me, it's something that it's hard for me to advise kasi ito yung mga tinatawag na natin na sidelines eh. So I don't know which specific talents that you have na pwede mong pagkakitaan, kung pwede ka ba mag-TikTok or pwede ka ba maging vlogger na pwede mo siyang pagkakitaan. It's up to you. It's up to you to earn more, no? So it's up to you to look for ways to earn more. But a lot of us, like employees, don't have time for that. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I don't have the talent for vlogging. All right, I don't. That's why, for me, the next step that I did was to simplify my expenses. But before we dwell into that as well, let's go to the next slide. Let's define first what is a passive income and active income, and what's the importance of this. Active income is income that is earned from services rendered. So just like us employees, we allot time to the company. We are paid for that. Doctors do the same. Dentists do the same. No, any other people or any other person that is offering or that's rendering time for a company is an active income. Passive income are those income that requires minimal labor to earn. All right? Yan na yung mga katulad ng rental income, nandyan na yung mga paper assets like mutual funds, UITFs, insurance, nandyan na yung mga the likes of jewelry and art. So anything na hindi yung masyadong pinag-e-effortan, those are passive income. Okay? I've read in the book of Robert Kiyosaki, The Rich Dad Poor Dad, he defined the different types of income and how will you transition from active income to passive income. For you to be able kasi to call yourself financially free, you should be able to switch from active income to passive income. Ito na yung parang living on interest. Kumbaga parang mawala man yung active income mo, mawala trabaho mo, mag-retire ka na, wala na yung active income mo. There's enough passive income that you were able to create to sustain that active income. So gets niya? All right. So I've also read in an article in the US that this author also interviewed over a thousand self-made millionaires, and he discovered one thing in common among all of them. All of them have at least 7 streams of income. So yun yung naging common nung in-interview niya yung self-made millionaires in the US. So ako, tanong ko sa iyo, how many streams of income do you have? Right? So if you want to become successful, again, investing is also the key. All right? Next slide, please. So how do you start on investing? I think some of you may have encountered this already, pero usually hindi rin siya natusunod, di ba? So how do you allot your income? No? There are other financial jars available. Minsan mas extensive pa but this is the most basic. You allot 50% on your needs or on your essentials. You allot 30% on wants or on your lifestyle. And you allot 20% on savings and investment. This is not a hard and fast rule. When I knew about these financial jars or how I segregate my income, I did not start with 20% savings. I just start with 5%. Kasi nga, there's something wrong with how I spend my money before. When I learned about this, I started to increase the 5% to 20%. Now, I'm planning to increase it as high as 40%. Kumbaga parang babaliktarin ko na, mas malaki na i-invest ko sa savings or na set aside ko for savings kesa sa wants. Okay? So any amount will do. What I want is for you to make it consistent. Okay? Next slide. So if you cannot, right. So how to simplify expenses is actually a 90-day challenge that I wanted you to do. I've been doing this for years, but and this might help you as well on how you would identify on how you can simplify your expenses. This is the 90-day challenge by Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary is one of the Shark Tank investors. Research about him and you'll know that he's a very successful entrepreneur. The 90-day challenge is for you to be able to identify if you're living within your means or above your means. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, how it works is that you will write down every expenses that you have up to the last centavo. Write it down, put it in your notes, and then at the end of the week, put it on Excel just like this. Para makita nyo what are your fixed expenses, yung mga fixed expenses mo, yan naman yung mga sila Judith. Yan, di ba? Judith sa kuryente, Judith sa tubig, di ba? Sa internet bill. Yung mga yun, medyo hindi mo na matitweak kasi lifestyle mo na yun. That's your fixed expenses already. But your variable is something that you can tweak. Di ba? Then makikita mo how much are you spending in groceries, how much are you spending on food, how much are you spending on clothes. Right? So next slide, pakita natin. So why 90 days, no? Sabi nila 90 days kasi parang somehow it already gives you a snapshot on an overview of your lifestyle. kung ano yung nagiging current lifestyle mo when it comes to spending. Okay? So ako, ginagawa ko to all year round eh. And it helps me a lot. Whenever I want something and gusto ko siyang budgetan, may mga tinutweak ako on my expenses. Now, how to determine your 90-day number? You add your 3 months income and then look at your spreadsheet. You look at your 3 months expenses. Okay? That's your 90-day number. So next slide. If it is positive, then you're on the right foot, meaning you're not spending way above your means. If negative, then you have some work to do. Di ba? Yan yung magtutweak ka na on your expenses. Ano ba yung mga pwede mong i-tweak? May kita mo dyan, baka may mga gym membership ka na pwede mong i-set aside. Di ba? Or may mga subscriptions na pwede mo nang i-set aside. Alright? Next slide, please. So step 3 is manage your obligations. Again, for me, the next slide please, para pakita natin what will be the snowball budget. For me, pay off your debt. That's the name of the game. If wala ka ng utang, na masama, there's such a thing as good debt and bad debt. Pag wala ka ng bad debts, okay, then you can call yourself financially free. As much as possible, try to determine ano yung mababayaran mo kagad. Nagka-bonus ka, bayaran mo na kagad to para wala ka ng utang. For your big loans or for your big credits, no, like your housing loan or your car loan, yun medyo alam mo naman na yung budgetan mo na lang. Pero kung makakita ka sa ibang bangko na mas mababa yung mortgage loan, pwede mo na may lipat, ipa-refinance mo. Okay? But again, the purpose of this is for you to build the momentum of paying off your debt. Umpisahan mo sa maliit, then you work your way up to your biggest loan. Next slide, please. Okay. It is also important as step 4 that you build an emergency fund. The purpose of an emergency fund is for you to have a fund na pagkukunan mo in case of emergencies. Emergency fund nga eh, di ba? So the purpose of having an emergency fund is that whenever emergency comes, health emergencies ba siya, or calamities pa siya, or your car broke down, you need funds, you need immediate funds na medyo malaki, diyan ka kukuha. Alright? The importance of having an emergency fund before investing is that when emergency comes, hindi ka mapipilitang kunin sa investment fund mo. Diba? Okay sana kung may gain yung investment fund mo. But what if it's a loss? Diba? Mapipilitan kang ibenta siya at a loss. Now, how much emergency fund do you need? Next slide, please. Yan. So, how much do you need in an emergency fund? In a household, kung dalawa kayo na spouse nyo nagtatrabaho, you need at least 3 months each na 3 months each worth of your salary. Na hoping sana yung salary mo is more than your expenses. Okay? If it's more than your expenses, then 3 months worth of your expenses. Okay? Kung isa lang ang nagtatrabaho in a family like father lang, it needs to be 6 months worth of emergency fund. Okay? So just in case na wala na trabaho, nasira ang kotse, na hospital, or may mga nasira sa bahay because of calamity, you have something to get funds from. Okay? Next slide, please. Okay, so step 5, of course, knowing all of this, simplifying, emergency fund, your obligations, prioritizing your obligations. Of course, the next step is to invest. But before you invest, we have some tips for you first. Okay, so tip number 1. Next slide, please. Next slide. There. Start early. It's very essential for you to start early. I asked my mentor before, "Sir, when is the best time to invest?" He just smiled at me and said, "Yesterday was the best time to invest." And that's true. The more that you delay in investing, the more opportunities that you'll miss. Okay? So as much as possible, if you already have that opportunity to invest, don't delay it anymore. Okay? Because the next slide will tell you this. The power of compounding. You have to take advantage of the power of compounding if you will be able to invest in a longer time. So my question is, what will you choose? I will give you 100,000 now, or I will give you 1 centavo, but I will double it every day for the next 30 days. Some of you may answer, 100,000, yung isa, 1 centavo lang yun, dodoble mo lang araw-araw eh. Now that's where you are wrong. Next animation. See? Mas malaki. No? But this is just illustrations purposes. Wala naman tayong investment that doubles every day, di ba? But this is the power of compounding. That when you invest and then reinvest the profits or the gain that you have in that investment, it grows exponentially over time. It compounds. That's why the power of compounding. Next slide. Okay. Question. Who will have more at the age of 65? A 21-year-old who saves 10,000 per year for the next 44 years kasi 21 siya, 44 siya, 65 siya magre-retire, so he has 44 years to invest, and he invests in a investment vehicle that gives him 12% per annum. Well, letter B, medyo delayed ng 10 years, a 31-year-old, but he invested 20,000, so double nung si A. The amount for 34 years, so 34 years na lang natitira sa kanya for his retirement at the same rate or at the same investment vehicle that gives him 12% per annum. Who would give more? Who will gain more? Or who will have more? Some of you will answer B, but I'm telling you, you're incorrect. It's letter A. So it doesn't matter how big you invest. What matters most is how long you invest, because the length of time that you invest, you take advantage of the power of compounding. All right, next slide, please. Again, before you invest, you prioritize your objectives. Just like SMART goals, next slide. Ask yourself first, what's your path? Okay, what's the purpose of my investment? Don't invest unless you have a purpose in investing it. Diba? Kailangan mo ma-determine why are you investing? What's your purpose? Because there's no one size fits all investment. No, halimbawa nag-invest ka into something like this, into an investment vehicle like this, it's not a one size fits all. So you need to have a purpose. What's your risk appetite? You don't want din naman to invest tapos you don't have peace of mind. So invest with the right attitude or the right mentality or the risk appetite. Okay? So what is also your time horizon? Diba? Dito mo rin ma-determine how long ka dapat or how short ka dapat mag-invest. So, and then finally, the H, and what are your hurdles? Ano ba yung mga hurdles mo? Bakit hindi ka nakakapag-invest? Baka maraming temptations, di ba? In your phone, baka palagi nag-notify yung mga shopping app na yan. So baka kailangan i-delete mo muna siya or i-mute mo muna yung notification. So ask yourself, para at least you're guided. Right? Next question. Next slide, please. And this one is invest regularly. This is also very important. I've conducted several seminars, and usually ang tanong sa akin, ayoko mag-invest, it's because ang investing is for the rich only, and I need a huge amount of money to invest. Sabi ko, my friend, you're wrong. You don't need a huge amount of money. You need to invest regularly, and you just have to be consistent, and you have to invest a longer time horizon. All right, next slide, please. All right. So again, this is just illustration purposes for you to be able to see in figures. Magkano ba ang pwede kong potentially, no? Potentially, I'm saying potentially. Ano ba yung pwede nating kitain in figures if ever you will invest initially, let's say 5,000, and then you will invest 1,000 every month in X number of years, up to 30 years yung ating ating illustration, no? And what would be the value if you invested in different types of fund, like the fixed income fund, the balance fund, and an equity fund? All of those funds have different risk profile and objective. Okay, so let's say you invest 1,000. At the end of 5 years, nakaipon ka na ng 64,000. If you invested in an equity fund that gives you, let's say, 15% every year, medyo optimistic lang yung ating projections, it will give you around 98,431. If it's in the balance fund, it's 91,000. If it's in fixed income, it's 78. Moving forward, 30 years, you keep on investing the same amount, 364,000 at the end of 30 years. How much is that if you keep investing it? Diba? Compounding compounding investment. That's 7 million for an equity fund, 3.9 for balance, and 1.2 for fixed. Okay, next slide. Of course, the bigger amount that you invest, as you can see here, mas malaki yung effect niya. Diba? So for a 2,500, in the next 5 years, you will be able to save around 152,000 in an equity fund with 15% every year. projected annual return would be around 232,000, 217 for balance and 186 for fixed. And 30 years down the road, nakaipon ka na ng 902,000. And then eventually keep on investing in an equity fund, that's 17.5. Balance fund, 9.8. Diba? Fixed income, 3 million. So again, it doesn't need to have, you don't need a huge amount of money to invest. You just have to invest regularly and consistently. All right, so next slide. Yeah, my favorite slide. So regular investing, 0% per month. So if you don't invest in anything, wala tayong ipo-project. Diba? So mas maganda kung meron tayong pino-project na amount. So again, if you don't invest, yan tayo, blank. Okay, di ba? Nakakatawa. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so here in Metrobank, we offer UITF products, or the Unit Investment Trust Funds. Actually, this is where I started my investment career. I started with mutual funds and eventually invested into UITFs. Now, the good thing about UITFs is that it gives you an opportunity to invest in investment vehicles na hindi nyo may invest directly. All right. So investing in a UITF is a pooled fund. So other investors are also investing in these funds. Meron tayong different funds that you can choose from. It depends on your risk profile. It depends on the investment objective of the fund as well. What we want to offer to you right now is what we call this Aspire products. Ito medyo may unique feature siya. Kasi aside from the fact na you can just start as low as 1,000 for an initial investment, you can also automate the saving and investing kasi meron siyang auto debit feature. And you can set for as low as 500 a month, monthly contribution. And then minimum build-up lang niya at first is 2 years. After that, you can renew it year after year or how many years that you wanted to renew. Ang maganda lang dito, you can invest in all three funds. It has different risk profiles. The Aspire Bond Feeder Fund are for conservative investor. The Balance Fund are for moderate risk investor. And the Equity Feeder Fund are for aggressive risk investor. All of those funds have different objectives. They have different recommended time horizons. Okay, so if you want more details about it, you can go to your nearest branch, and ask about this particular funds. Right? Next slide, how do you open? Yeah, diba? Interested na mga audience natin, but how do you open? Okay? Of course, for initial account opening of UITF, you have to go to the branch. They have the account opening forms. They can help you. They can assist you. So you can start your investing journey with the branch. All right? Right after that, since it's pandemic, it's not really also ideal that every time that you want to add to your investment, pupunta ka pa sa branch. You can register it online. All right? So you can transact online, you can view the market value of your investment online. All right? So that's the good thing about the UITFs right now, that they are available online. So again, if you wanted to open, just go to the nearest branch near you. Okay? Next slide. Okay, I think this is the last slide that we have. So do something today that your future self will thank you for. Our actions and decisions today will shape the way we will be living in the future. And I agree to that. Investing is something that should not be feared. Investing should be fun. Okay? Sabi nga din uli ni Warren Buffett, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted the seed a long time ago. Investing should be treated like planting a tree. You don't enjoy the fruits overnight. You don't see it a couple of months. Usually, taon ang bibilangin mo for you to be able to enjoy the fruits. Diba? Because wealth building takes time. For me, wealth building takes time. There's no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. For those who believe in such, usually they are the ones who fall into scams. Okay? So, treat investing. It is as if you are planting a tree. And eventually, you're going to enjoy the shade or the fruits. All right? So I hope that you learned something from this session or this presentation. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for staying tuned.
All right. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for that insightful presentation. I'm pretty sure na maraming natutunan ng audience natin this afternoon sa mga tips and tricks mo. And as mentioned earlier, we will now be opening the floor to questions from the audience. So again, for our participants, kindly type in your questions in the question and answer box provided at the bottom part of your screen so that we will be able to address them. And of course, to formally start our question and answer, let me introduce to you our panelists this afternoon. Of course, included is Mr. Lawrence, and he will be joined by Mr. Jon Munsayac. Mr. Munsayac is the head of market research and strategy of Metrobank's Trust Banking Group. His team specializes in covering microeconomic fundamentals of various markets and comes up with and actionable insights for the investment teams. He has been in the industry for the past 11 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jon Munsayac. Hi, Jon.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
All right. So again, to our audience, kindly type in your questions in the question and answer box. Makikita niyo po siya at the bottom part of your screen so that we will be able to answer them. And I think I'm able to get our first question this afternoon. This is addressed to Lawrence. So for the first question, which should be prioritized? Saving for an emergency fund or saving for an investment fund?
So that's a good question. Yung diniscuss na natin kanina, the importance of an emergency fund. Well, there's a pros and cons if ever uunahin mo si emergency fund or unahin mo si investment fund. If inuna mo si emergency fund, which is medyo hefty amount to save, di ba? 6 months worth, no? So baka yung opportunity mo naman din to invest in investment vehicles like UITF, mamiss mo naman. So if you can do it both the same time, maganda sana, no? Pag inuna mo naman din si investment and then emergency comes at wala kang ibang mapagkukunan ng funds, then yun nga, like my example kanina, pwede mo siyang kunin yung investment mo at a loss kung wala ka talaga ibang pagkukunan. So for me, if you have the capacity and if you have the capability, do it the same time.
All right. Thanks, Lawrence. And there's another one, and this is also addressed to you. So the question is, when is the right time to invest? And I think you were able to cover this earlier in your presentation. Yeah.
Yeah. So when is the right time to invest? Yun ang palaging tanong eh. Kasi there are a lot of potential clients or potential investors that keeps on asking, maganda pa bang mag-invest ngayon? Baka mataas ng market or baka ganyan. For me, your starting investment is your starting line, eh. 'Di ba? Your aim of investing is of course for you to grow the value of that investment, no? So when is the right time to invest? Regardless kung up ang market o hindi, mag-invest ka na ngayon. Then just have that end goal in mind na etong i-invest ko na to, kailangan kumita to or maghihintay ako ng tamang panahon para kumita ito.
All right, thank you for that. And this time around, this next question is addressed to Jon. Jon, in relation to question number 2, is it a good time to start investing given we're headed for the elections?
Ako, I would agree with with Lawrence. The best time to invest is really yesterday. Now, regarding the elections, definitely it's stirring a lot of discomfort, a lot of misinformation, and it's definitely something we are watching in terms of how it would affect investments. Pero if you're looking for an investment that is, let's say, for your retirement or for something big and long term, it's really okay to start investing now. You may see some fluctuations in the price over the short term, but overall, the reason why Lawrence wanted na consistent yung pag-invest mo is to make sure that you invest in times na mababa yung presyo. May mga times din makakapasok ka na medyo mataas yung presyo, but those prices should average out. So yeah, regardless, it's really a good time to invest.
All right, thank you, Jon. And I guess in the next question is also in relation to the succeeding question, but this time around, this is addressed to Lawrence. Saan ba magandang mag-invest ngayon?
That's always the question kung saan maganda. Well, kaya during the start of the presentation, I reiterated for you to have an objective whenever you want to invest. No? Kasi yun nga like what I've said, there's no one size fits all for a specific investment. If you have like a long-term investment, may mga specific investment available in the market that can be suitable for long-term investing and for aggressive investors. It needs to have a right combination. No? Kasi kung you're just going to invest because you don't have a plan, you don't have a goal, no? Any investment vehicle would be available for you, would be suitable for you. Kaya lang, is it the right product for that goal? Is it the right product for that specific objective? No, marami dyan. May mga UITFs and mutual funds. There's VULs, no? May mga cryptocurrencies pa nga ngayon eh. But again, you have to discern to yourself. You need to determine, ito bang specific na investment nito is rightfully for my objective or for my goals. So yun yung unang-una mong you have to determine. Ano ba yung mga goals mo sa finances mo? Pang college education ba to? Pang ano ba to? Pambili mo ba ng laptop to in the next 3 months? There's suitable investment in each form of in each objective that you have.
All right. Thank you for that. And I think our participants are already interested in our discussion about the investment products that you offered earlier. So the next question is also addressed to you. I have an online banking. Can I apply or enroll UITF without going to Metrobank branch?
Unfortunately, for initial account opening, you really have to go to the branch kasi doon namin din ginagawa yung mga KYC diligence namin. The account opening forms are also in the branches. And the branches can also help you determine which fund talaga are suitable for you. You can talk to any of the branch personnel there. So for any initial investment, it's really you have to go to the branch. So kahit na may online banking ka na ngayon, if you want to open a UITF, wala ka pang existing, initially talagang you just have to sacrifice. You just have to go to the branch first. But for your eventual transactions, for your future transactions, even if solo account ka, you want to invest in a different fund, pwede mo na siyang gawin online. So you just have to do everything at the branch level first.
All right. Lawrence, since we're at it, since we're discussing about UITFs or Unit Investment Trust Fund, the next question is, again, addressed to you. Is UITF same as mutual funds?
Well, the concept is the same. It's both pooled funds. So yun ang ng mutual fund and ng UITFs. The difference lang, governing body, UITFs governed by BSP. Mutual funds are governed by SEC. With mutual funds, you buy shares. Okay? With UITFs, you buy units. Okay? It also differs in fund managers as well. So it differs in performance kasi hindi man pare-pareho ng fund managers yung mga yan. But the concept is the same. The concept of pooled fund is that para siyang how do I simplify it? Para siyang paluwagan. But instead of you waiting for your turn so na-save mo, itong pooled funds, it has an opportunity for the fund managers. Yan pa yung isa pang advantage because there's fund managers doing the decision making for you when it comes to investing. The fund managers can decide for you where to invest. So for me talaga, when I started my investing career, it was really UITF and mutual funds that I started. Kasi parang for me, it's hassle-free. Parang, okay, invest ako doon. My main goal, nakabili ako ng gantong number of units or number of shares. Then my main goal was to wait for the investment na lang. Actually, you just have to wait for it. Wait for the investment to grow, and then kung na-meet ko na yung financial goal ko in investing in that specific UITF or mutual fund, then kinuha ko na. Di ba? Parang ganun na lang siya. Because the advantage of pooled funds as well is instant diversification. No? If you have, let's say, 5,000 to invest, baka yung opportunity mo to diversify it, to invest it directly into different types of securities, baka hindi mo ma-diversify ng gusto. Diba? Just like if you're going to invest it in government securities, ang lalaki ng requirement niyan. Diba? But for the minimum amount of 5,000, you can already have a diversified portfolio in government securities and corporate bonds. So for me, mutual funds and UITFs are the same. It only differs in some aspects or some features.
All right. Thank you for that, Lawrence. And for the next question that we have, this is addressed to John. The question is, isn't investing risky? For someone who is only used to savings account, what might be a good way to start the habit of investing?
Okay, so definitely investing, there's always a level of risk involved. But as Lawrence mentioned, no, there are certain investment products that cater to conservative clients. So one major difference, if you're savings account, the interest you get there is very low. Unfortunately, medyo mababa siya. Pero kasi merong mga money market fund na UITF that are able to get higher rates, miski savings products din yung binibili niya or something close to that. Now, how is that possible? That's because the banks can actually try to negotiate larger rates for deposit amounts that are larger. By larger, I mean billions of pesos. So instead of, let's say, 1 million na may invest ko siya at 0.2%, if the bank pulls together the money of all the clients in that UITF, they can actually negotiate na, oh, pwede ko ba makuha invest na 0.2%, 1%. And that's what we've been doing, I think, with our money market UITFs. Now, we are able to get higher deposit rates or higher rates for the investments that are conservative as well, na very minimal risk for conservative clients.
All right. Thank you for that, John.
Sure.
And for the next question, this is addressed to the both of you. What is your personal style in savings and investing? So we're getting a little bit personal na this time around. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's going to go first? John?
Sige, I'll go first. Siguro, life hack ko when it comes to investing, parang di ba may sinabi si Lawrence kanina na you have to get your savings first and then the resulting amount is your expense. What I try to do sometimes, especially, is to treat my investment payouts or as expenses. Bibili akong kape sa Starbucks, sige, 150. Mag-i-invest ako sa UITF, 1,000. I will think about it as an expense. Now, that's life hack siya for me for two things. Number one, you're already pre-programmed na gagastos ka eh. Pag sinabi mo kasing investing, meron certain level na pwede ka naman gawin yun next month. And another thing is, if it's an expense, that means naglabas ka ng pera, hindi mo na siya iisipin. Which is one thing that's very important. Kasi kapag may investment ka, may nest egg ka, tapos nagkaroon ng moment na kailangan mo ng cash, isipin mo, baka pwede akong kumuha sa investment ko. Pero kapag binato mo siya, ininvest mo siya, and your purpose for that investment is long-term, let's say retirement, bahay, you'll allow compounding to do its work for you. So I guess that's how I do it, one thing. And another thing, it really helps to automate it. So the Aspire feature na sinabi ni Lawrence kanina, it's very helpful. I don't even have to think about it. As long as I make sure my budget is, naka-budget siya, tatanggal siya ng small amount per payday per month, then that's good. That's a very big in terms of, if you look at it 2-3 years down the road, malaki na yung naipon mo. Yeah, Lawrence, your turn.
Yeah, I agree with John totally, no? Kasi ang expenses naman talaga is something na hindi mo maiiwasan regardless of how much you wanted to avoid it. But for me, let's say I also have an expense, no? I also do the same. As much as possible, I try to equate it na parang, ito naman, kung ininvest ko to, ito naman yung medyo kinita niya, baka pwede ko naman i-enjoy ng konti. But I always stick to the 20%. Parang yun na yung naging minimum ko 20% of my income I really allot it. Parang at the end of the day, maubos ko man kung ano yung nasa ATM ko or ano yung ginastos ko for the day. Di na ako guilty kasi nga I was able to invest first. No? Again, what I wanted to point out is andun din naman yung opportunity for you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. No? But if it's becoming a recurring problem na you're enjoying it too much na you're no longer investing or saving. No, there's something that you need to do. Okay, for me, investing as well, yun nga, I always treat investing like planting a tree. Hindi ko muna enjoyin yan or kahit na meron ng profit yan, if does not yet reach my goal or yung investment objective ko why I invested in that particular investment, hindi ko kukunin yan. And ang gagawin ko pa dyan, just like any other fruit-bearing tree, like a mango, ang gagawin ko dyan, yun nga, power of compounding, ibabalik ko yan sa investment. Para eventually, I will be able to meet my goals. Kasi ako, when I invest, I really invest long-term. Yung cash ko talaga ngayon are really yun yung mga pang short term na goals ko. If you want to buy a cellphone, I want to buy a laptop. Yun, nasa mga short term yun. Pero for my long term goals, I'm not afraid of what will happen to the market. Actually, ngayon, sabi rin nga ni Warren Buffett, if others are fearful, you should be greedy. Diba? If others are greedy, you should be fearful. A lot of people are fearful right now. So you should be greedy. Diba? I mean, when you go to the mall, kailan ka ba bibili kapag regular price or sale price? Di ba? Mas bumibili ka kapag sale price. So that's what's happening to the market right now. Na-mention na ni Jon yun. That there are a lot of companies right now, there are a lot of investments na medyo undervalued na siya. So maybe it's a good opportunity for you to invest.
All right. Thank you, Jon and Lawrence. I think it really boils down to careful planning and mindset talaga when it comes to investing. And for the next question, this is addressed to Lawrence. How much do I need to start investing?
Ayan. So yun na nga yun. Like what I've said, you can start at 20%. But yun nga, when I also started, when I didn't know how to handle my finances as well, I started at 5%. Ang mas importante talaga is for you to be able to make it consistent. For you to start. Any amount will do. Kahit na 100 yan, kahit na 500 yan. As long as you make it, as long as you start, yun ang most importantly, as long as you start right now, and as long as you make it consistent. And then eventually, kapag nakikita nyo na minsan yung market value na ini-invest nyo, minsan nakaka-entice eh. So, di ba, parang may goal ka na parang, I want to have this amount invested. Kapag naabot mo na yun, usually, you're pushing yourself pa eh. Na I wanted to invest more. Di ba? Kasi parang yun na, malapit na ako sa goal ko eh. So for me, yeah, you can start at 20% in your income, but if it's again too much, if you really have to change your lifestyle para ma-attain mo yung 20%, you can just start at 5%. Then yun nga, look for an available investment vehicle that can cater to that specific need, or pwede ka, pasok na yung budget mo dun sa investment na yun. So any amount for me would do as long as you start and as long as you make it consistent.
All right. Thank you, Lawrence. And thank you, Jon, for sharing your knowledge to our audience about investing. And that's about it for our question and answer portion. But before we move to the last part of our program, we would appreciate if our audience can spend a minute or two of their time to answer our short survey. We'll be flashing our QR code on the screen right now. So just scan the QR code for you to be able to access the survey. Your feedback would be really helpful for as we continue to improve our webinar series. All right. Again, thank you to our speakers, Lawrence and Jon, for giving us insightful discussion about investing. And of course, to our audience who joined us this afternoon. We are very excited to be part of your financial journey through My Choice Investments. And we are looking forward to see you in our next episodes. This has been your host, Eldon. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.